Now, Alex Jones. Now, I had to come on here with this video. I wasn't even going to come on here tonight because I had something to do. But I saw this video and I just had to come on here and talk about it because, listen, I heard about Alex Jones like in the early 90s. And of course, like everybody else, I thought he was crazy because the things that he would talk about were just these really deep, deep, wild conspiracies, quote unquote, because I'm a person today that believes there's no such thing as a conspiracy, and that everything that the media tells you is a conspiracy is 9 times out of 10 the truth. That's what I've learned over the years. Now, I've heard about a lot of these things that they talk about with the today that they're talking about in the Epstein files and stuff about the satanic cults and the sacrifices and stuff like that. I had studied about that back in like the 90s because I always say this, I wanted to be a minister and I wanted to study Satanism because I wanted to know the teaching. You cannot have an enemy and try to defeat it or go after or try to draw people away from it if you don't even know what they're teaching. That's why I say a lot of you are really stupid because you don't want to hear what somebody has to say, but you don't do anything to do the research to see if what they're saying is even true or false. It's just like you're just like sheep. But that's another story for another day. So I would be listening to these wild like stories about like, government officials and like wealthy people, having these wild like, doing satanic rituals on kids and all that. And I just didn't really want to believe it was true. I read a book all about those things, but I just thought really that they were just, I said, this is like over the top. Like, there's no way that anybody that could ever be true. And I read the Satanic Bible and I studied Satanism and, what do you call it? Illuminati and, the 33rd degrees and, all of those things because I was just wanted to know what the teaching was. And what I found out is that they really do hate God's creation. They really do. And they are on a mission to destroy it. It's like they hate God's creation. And I feel like the more that I went down these rabbit holes, the more that it just let me know that it really is a war against good and evil. Forget the left and the right, Democrats, Republicans, and blacks against whites or whatever. It's really a war between the righteous and the unrighteous, the people that serve God, Christ, and the ones that serve the devil. That's all it is. That's how this world separates into. That's what it separates into. And being ignorant, just like the law, does not save you from these evils or doesn't save you from being entangled in these things. And it doesn't save you for having to pay for getting entangled in these things because you didn't know, because 9 times out of 10, somebody warned you at some time, like these people. And every time I come on here, I really have to do a lot of soul searching because most of the time people, they don't really want to know the truth. They really don't. They act like they do, but they don't want to because they will have to really totally just like restart their life all over again and relearn everything again because to accept a lot of the things that are, a part of this world that we live in. It's just I feel like this world is 50% good and 50% evil. And I'm trying to figure out which part of are y'all going to, which side and which part of this are y'all going to be on, because this is crazy. So I want y'all to watch this video. It's going to be a long time. I really want y'all to look, hear some of this. You guys, hold on, let me see something. You guys don't, and I'm not saying all are like this, but a lot of people live in a big state of denial. And like I said, I don't believe people like this either until years later. And I'm starting to say like, well, damn, that crazy white man from like 10 years ago, 20 years ago said X, Y, and Z. And look, there it is. That's why I didn't take the vaccine, because I had read and heard stories about like a time in history where, people will be forced medical products. I didn't believe that. I never thought that could ever happen. I thought that was crazy. But then decades later, when they tried to force the medical product, ding, 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 ding. I'm thinking of that book I read, like, oh my God, like they really are doing this. Like these people predicted this 20 years, 30 years ago. You're going to see people in here and stories of these pedophile rings and this child abuse and all that from, decades ago, from in the 60s and probably from the beginning of time, that they've been doing stuff like this. So let's watch this because this is going to take long. I'm telling you right now, because it's a lot on here. And I'm gonna put, I forgot to put the link in the description, but I'll do it when I'm finished. I'll put the link in the description. So y'all can watch this. You really need to watch this video because all of the stuff that he is saying is what the Epstein files is uncovering. And it seems like the people are so complacent over this, just like they've always been. It's like the files are released and they're talking about all these wild things that they've done to children and just to other young people, and people are just like, who cares? I don't get it. I don't get it. And I don't understand why more people are not, being, prosecuted for this. I don't get it. This is like now I always tell y'all this. I come on here all the time to show y'all different things to watch that are just not the liberal narrative. Now, Alex Jones is a very controversial person, but the only reason why he's so controversial is because he's always exposing these people. He has good intel or something because, for decades, he's been right about a lot of things, and when he's wrong, he admits he's wrong or whatever. But I feel like, the mainstream media is more wrong and lies more than anybody, and y'all accept that. So I don't get it. And what I've also come to realize too is that the people that the mainstream media tells you not to like, 9 times out of 10, they are people that have the truth of some sort to tell you, or they're going to expose something that they don't want you to know. Look what they did to Michael Jackson. They've tried to bankrupt Alex Jones so many times, but somehow he, his followers and viewers are very like loyal. And, he sells like all kind of supplements and stuff like that. Like, I like his business model actually, but this is InfoWars and it's on every day from like 9 o'clock till sometime into the evening, like 7 o'clock, and they have all these news shows and they talk about a lot of things. You see what it's called banned.video, because a lot of the stuff that they talk about are conspiracies, but I've grown to know that there's no such thing as conspiracies and everything is the truth. Now, hold on. Let me put my earpiece on something here. So now, one thing I like about this show is that they have good commercials, and it can be a little lighthearted sometimes because they have like really, really deep stuff that they talk about. Now, this is one of their advertisements or whatever. And a lot of people make fun of him because they're like, oh, he sells supplements, whatever. But at least he's not, taking money from the vaccine companies. Y'all can watch mainstream news all day and not complain that they're taking money from Pfizer and all these other companies. So it's just something to watch. I'm going to put it in the description because you guys should look at this sometimes and just go down the rabbit holes. If you hear something that you think is outlandish and you think it's crazy, then why don't you do the research instead of just like covering your eyes to it and just acting like you don't see it? Why don't you just do the research? So this is one of their commercials for their products or whatever. So I'm gonna skip this, but it's just a fun little network to watch. It's the most watched news in the world. Like it's like one of them. I think it is the most watched news thing in the whole entire world. It has a huge following. This is what I'm trying to
mainly in key positions
is that you're being lied to. There's a whole movement of millions of people worldwide that do not subscribe to this liberal agenda. And you're going to see that the liberal agenda is just the surface of a more deep-rooted, satanic, demonic. I don't even know if you even call it a cult because it's so much deeper than that. It's so much of a bigger entanglement than a cult could ever be. And it's worldwide. And if you wonder how 8 million children go missing throughout the whole world yearly, then you guys need to watch this and you'll and really look at the Epstein files and what it's uncovering. because the mainstream media is not really telling you the truth about what they're finding. They're just telling you BS. But if the people that are really looking through these files and evaluating these files, I'm telling you, this guy is right. This is 2002, what he's going to talk about.
It's pedophiles. And when I get up here and say that pedophile rings are one of the biggest cults or guilds running Washington, that's just what the facts always show.
Their favorite thing is starving to death 4-year-olds, begging for mommy. And then they call it using them up when they finally whimper, give up, roll over, and die. They then have sex with the dead bodies, thank Satan, like Jimmy Savile would do, and go out and grab your next child out of the back of your yard. I remembered Ted Gunderson, and I was reading the things he said, quotes in the 80s about there's a shadow government using pedophilia to control and blackmail the population. And it's setting up networks internationally to bring down the United States.
And you don't believe me? Fine. Okay, don't check it out. This is all documented. I don't care how horrible it sounds. It's all documented. I've covered it all here 100 times.
I'm telling y'all, this man been saying this forever. And that's what the Epstein files is depicting, is all these things you're going to hear this man say from a long time ago.
We know pedophile Adam's real, Jeffrey Epstein.
We're such self-centered crap that we don't even notice hell itself
Rising up against us.